So yeah, I want to start a conversation by saying thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today and coming on to KrylonTalk. I wanted to start today's conversation with mainly what Krylon Talk stands for. So I started KrylonTalk because a lot of newcomers or people that started painting graffiti tend to forget that there was people writing before them. See, like I started back in '05, so there's people much before me, and they forget that there were certain utensils that were used to start graffiti. Like me, when I started, we didn't have the access to Montana, loop, iron lac and stuff like that. And I was hoping if you could share some of your experiences of what you started painting with and what can you tell us was used back then.
For sure, yeah. When I started painting, Montana hadn't hit Miami yet. I think I started painting in 95, 96, and
Mm,
Montana didn't hit here probably until like 3 to 5 years after that. I'd have to look online and see when my color scheme started changing and when I got a hold of those colors. But it didn't flood for a while. Like there was a little bit of it here and a little bit there, but as far as what I started with was Krylon. I wasn't big on painting trains, so I
okay.
wasn't really vibing with the Rusto. I was more concentrating on like pieces and wild style and doing like very detailed stuff. So basically I had to the Krylon was better. It was almost like, I don't want to say it was, yeah, it was low pressure compared to Rusto. Rusto's very thick and has a high pressure, to where Krylon is like thin and has like a low pressure, almost like a watery substance to it, so you could get much thinner lines or whatever. But I started with Krylon. I would a lot of the colors that I would use would be like colonial blue and teal green and almond and mauve. There was colors that were like very sought out that were maybe discontinued, like baby blue and hot pink and like aqua turquoise and teal blue. Teal blue was a color that was hard to get. I used to use a lot of safety purple, the plum safety purple. I know that we use like summer squash. Wait, I think summer squash was American Accents, but the American Accents had some good colors actually. Aside from Krylon and their navy blue and cherry red
For
and
for anybody
and
typing in that doesn't know what American Axis is that another brand of spray paint?
yeah, American Accents. I think it's Rust-Oleum. I don't know if I don't think they still have. Maybe they do still have American Accents, but it's just like Painter's Touch or what do they have now? That's the flip side to Rusto. Oh yeah, it is Painter's Touch. So
Yeah,
I
they
think
have the
American
painter's
Accents
touch.
is, yeah, it's probably like I think it was all like satin finish, but they had a lot of pastels and a lot of good colors that that Krylon didn't have or Rust-Oleum didn't have, like Wildflower Blue and I mentioned Summer Squash. They had some light greens and whatnot. I never mixed my own paint. I always heard about people mixing their own colors to get
Okay.
like a good variation of colors, but um yeah, it wasn't that long though before I started that Spanish Montana came around. I remember my friend Cure from True Elements was selling it, and before that some Germans had come to Miami, like Dame and Lumit and a couple other people, and they brought a bunch of Belton out here. So some of the crews that were cool with them had Molotov Belton, and they were doing some really killer stuff, like Damn Crew, and before I was down with MSG had some access to it, and yeah, I mean the whole like with Montana changed the game. Having all
How
those
did how,
colors and the caps and the all that, it was definitely a game changer.
how did you take the transition to having to leave Carlin behind and adapt to the Montana? Was that something you were comfortable with, something that you enjoyed, or it was just like a oh whatever type thing?
No, I was definitely hyped on Montana for sure because it was made for writing. You know, it was made for
By
graffiti
writers,
artists. So
by writers.
yeah, it wasn't even like a doubt. It was like very good paint, very good color selection. The nozzles, interchangeable, and it wasn't a shitty paint. Krylon's horrible, dude. I just used it not too long ago. Um, what did I use it on? On
You're breaking up. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello,
spray and um, I
hello, hello.
yeah, my
Can you
bad,
hear
bro.
me? Oh, it's
I
all
can
good. It's
hear
all
you.
good.
Yeah,
Just
it
making sure.
paused. But yeah, I was using Krylon. I used a can of Krylon Max. It was a flat black,
Okay.
and yeah, just on Sunday, and it's terrible. I think that where Krylon went wrong was that they took a stance against graffiti. They publicly like distanced themselves and even like opposed themselves from the graffiti subculture. They said we don't want our paint used for it, and then they took the measures with their cap system to like make it more difficult for writers and spray can artists to use their products. So I think Rust-Oleum really like took the belt in that regard, that like they just stayed neutral. They didn't stand against it, and I'm sure like Rust-Oleum makes way more money than Krylon does. You know what I mean?
I just find it interesting how Krylon it's a very it's been since the birth of the graffiti and the fact that they don't show love to it. It's something interesting because a lot of people have good memories with the Krylon, and the fact that they never wanted sponsorship or be any type of part of graffiti. It's kind of interesting because at the end of the day, it was there throughout the birth.
Yeah, it was good paint, but I think they just watered down their formula, and then like I said, they changed their cap system and really just like gave writers the middle finger and told them to like fuck off.
Was
Basically, they weren't with it.
how
So it
about
was
how
it
about
was
now?
definitely, yeah. What were you gonna say? My
Sorry to
bad.
cut you. Oh, that's cool. You can go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That was an easy transition from Krylon and American accents to Montana for sure.
Now that we have so many brands, sorry, is there something that you go to that you would like prefer using? Like if you had
No,
the opportunity to?
not really. I mean, if I could choose a brand, I would choose Belton, but Belton isn't readily available here down in Miami. I think it's distributed in the Northeast, uh like Portland or one of these like Northeast states. So it doesn't come to Miami as much as Spanish Montana and German Montana does. Um but I use anything, dude. I use a lot of Rust-Oleum. Rust-Oleum's the cheapest, and I use it a lot on freight trains. And um, lately, I've been using a lot of roller paint. Someone gave me like 100 gallons of orange in December, and I've
Oh,
maybe, yeah, I might have ran through like half of it. But I'll tell you, man, that like I never really was a roller dude, but I'm kind of hooked on it now, because you could go really big and it doesn't take that much paint. It's not that expensive for like a 5 gallon bucket of black, and then you could get oops and you could get white and gray and stuff for way cheaper than the black. So um I see myself using a lot of black and white buff for like getting up. Once my orange tops out, I'm going to just like start buying 5 gallons of white and 5 gallons of black and just doing like a lot of work with roller paint. But I love painting with spray, but it's expensive and it's not good for you. It gets all over your arms and and breathing that stuff in, your hands and whatever. So I try to, rock a mask and wear long sleeves and wear gloves and whatnot. I don't go as far as like protecting my eyes and my face and my hair or whatever. Some people put the whole like crazy mask on or whatever, but I
oh
don't
yeah,
really
the
do
the
that.
big one.
Yeah. But
Are you more of a low
doesn't matter to
pressure?
me. I think
What do you prefer?
that I like high pressure, but like I said, it doesn't matter to me. Uh, pressure or high pressure. I mean, low pressure works great with a fat cap, so it doesn't really matter to me what brand I'm using or whatever. I'll spray with anything. I prefer to use like a good brand. I would say that to me the German paint is the best. Whether it's the German Belton or the German Montana. I think that that's the best spray paint out there. There's something about Spanish Montana 94 and hardcore and whatnot that it just doesn't seem as like industrial, if
Okay,
that makes any sense. It's more like a art type of thing. I don't know what it is, but the German stuff just has this like very like it's almost like comparing Rust-Oleum and Krylon to each other. I would say that Spanish Montana feels like German Montana or German Belton seems like Rust-Oleum, if that makes sense.
gotcha, gotcha. Is there? Do you carry any top three caps that you like using? Do you have any favorite caps?
I do. My favorite cap would be like a super fat cap, for like
Like,
what I've been doing lately with my character because so I've been rocking this character for almost like 10 years and or maybe more than 10 years now, but it's not like the letters where you have to get all technical and detailed and make it look all clean or whatever. Like with a character you could just do whatever you want and it doesn't necessarily matter how it comes out because there's no like reference or like starting point or guidelines to what you're doing. It's all creativity. So my favorite is like an astrofat or like a high level uh like a German cap system, like a high level one of those. Like they have the Clash Fats, the yellow caps with the black dots. But I prefer a super fat cap. But then of course, when it's time to get detailed, I'll break out the New York fat cap. And
yeah,
then if I have to get like super detailed, then I'll use like any of those like thin tips. It could be like an alien cap or universal yellow cap or the cap that comes on the Iron Lac Sugar, the turquoise one with the black dot. That's a good one. There's a ton of those caps. Like they just don't let out as much paint. So my three favorite caps would be super fat, the medium, like New York fat cap, which you could get both of the fat and then the skinny as well, and then the super skinny. So that pretty much covers everything right there. If you got the three different widths or the three different levels, then you could really do anything you want. I mean, I know some people take it a step further and use the stencil cap that Swank did, or even before he like produced it and trademarked it or patented it. People were still doing that from back in the days, like taking their caps and poking the hole in them and lining it up, and it comes out like airbrush thin. That's really cool, but I didn't do much of it. I did it maybe like a couple times, but um, yeah.
dope, dope. As far as tags, is there anything that you could share that you used when you were coming up that might not be available now?
No, I mean, I always tell people when I school people, I tell them to start off with two colors and to really like gain their can control because these days with every single color available to you, it's easy to lose track of like gaining can control and like mastering your style. You could just like make it look all cool by adding these techniques and cuts and fades and different like 100 colors or whatever, but if you can't rock in black and white, then like you need to rewind and step back and really master can control and master like not necessarily flavor, but like I don't even want to say technique, but like I guess a foundation. You have to have
Like
some
sort of
sort
what
of
defines you type thing?
yeah, yeah. You really have to go in. I would say to if you're just starting, just take your time and work in black and white or like a light, a dark, and a mid tone for a year or two before you start using all of like extensive color palettes and transparents and everything that's available to you these days. But dude, it's 2020, man. You know, when I started, I was schooled a certain way, and it was like you do your sketch, you do your fill in, you do your 3D and your outline, your highlights, and their background or whatever it is, and it's just like all that shit is out the window now, dude. You know, like I've traveled across the world, and there's countries that don't have access to Montana or fancy paint or even Rust-Oleum or Krylon for that matter. So there's people out there that are doing graffiti murals, and it looks like they're using spray paint, but they're using all buff. It's just like you use whatever you want these days, stencils included, paintbrush included, even marker included. You get what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, I could say do one thing, but in reality, it really doesn't matter. What it boils down to is having fun, right? You know, as long as you're having fun
Definitely, definitely.
and
Yeah.
you're enjoying the process and really like soaking up the moment and having a good time and not getting into trouble, you know, then you're good. You know, it doesn't matter what delivery or what method or what techniques or brands you're using. You know, it's important to just have fun with it, really.
Is there an experience that you could share of when you were traveling that you seen someone using something that you'd be like, oh damn, I never thought they would be using this for graffiti.
Yeah, dude, it's there's one particular moment that stands out in my mind a lot. And I was in Pico Union at the Graph Lab with Acme and Gil One, rest in peace. He was there painting
Rest in
a
peace.
piece, yeah. And he was doing a badass piece, but he was using one of those little brushes with the styrofoam, like with the foam cap. And I looked at
Okay.
my homie and I was like, you know, yo, look at this dude's using a fucking brush. Like that's just not allowed, you know. He's like, dude, come on, you know. It's like that's all the you know. There's a lot of people that pride themselves on it, and it's cool to have that like that raw and that like original mentality of like keeping it real and having like your your blade sharpened, so to speak. But like you know, there's plenty of different ways to achieve one result, and you could do it one way, but like you know, there's I've seen people do pieces completely backwards, you know, and the outcome is dope. You know, they do their outline first, and then they just start cutting into their outline with their fill in, and then they're putting all these crazy techniques on it, and it's like it's inspirational. But like that one time with seeing Gil using that brush and me like telling Acme like, hey, like this dude's using a brush, what's up with that? And he's just like, dude, you know, get it together. It's not like this isn't the old school times, and it's not frowned upon to, you know, break out the brush or break out like a stencil to achieve like a super clean look. You know, I mean, it's just it's all part of the game. I think all the rules and everything is out the window. You know, whatever you got to do to make your piece look fresh or make your mural look dope, go for it and do it and just and have fun and practice a lot. You know, there's a lot of friends that I have that are really good on paper or on their iPad or computer or whatever it might be, and they're very talented individuals. But then they go to the wall and they can't necessarily do
They're
what they
showing
were
on the
doing on
tablet.
exactly. So it a lot of dedication goes into it. You know, you can't just like expect to start doing crazy intricate pieces and murals and productions and characters and whatnot right off rip. You got to really dedicate yourself to it and practice a lot, you know.
Definitely, you got to keep practicing. Another thing I wanted to touch on today. There's two terms that are used in the graffiti culture a lot, and I wanted to see how you felt about those terms. One is when the term capping and the term that they use toy. How do you feel about those terms?
Well, it's important, you know, if you can avoid going over someone, I think it's best to do that. You know, it's best to be original and find spots that haven't been painted. And if you do have to go over someone, just cover them, you know. But what happens a lot is, you know, people will go over someone that has passed away or that's locked up, or and then it becomes a big problem, you know. So to avoid any sort of complications, just find your own spots and find, you know, the original spots, and that's difficult in cities where there's like thousands of active writers. That's very difficult because everyone, people
Every
travel.
cut's hit.
Yeah, dude, people travel really far to go and find these like virgin walls and train yards and layups and places that aren't being frequented so much. But it's always part of the game. You're always gonna have someone that's like, oh, I don't care. I'm just gonna do a throw up right in the middle of this like piece or a landmark, go over a landmark or go over someone that passed away. Or a trend now that I see across the world is people just do throw ups on murals, and like it is what it is. If you're gonna do a gigantic mural, it's probably best that like the first 10 feet from the ground up is like something that you don't mind getting blasted over, because people are gonna they're gonna go over it. They're gonna put their throw up, they're gonna do whatever they want down there, throw some tags or whatever. So on the capping, that's my um that's my input on it. I actually got like into a bunch of like problems from letting like my feelings get the best of me. And I really like uh did a bunch of crossing out and writing crazy shit. And a lot of people hate me for that, and hey, it is what it is. I mean, you just got to watch out, watch where you write, watch where you paint, and just try not to go over anyone. And if you do, cover them, because feelings definitely get hurt and people blow things out of proportion. Now, as far as the toy um term, everyone's a toy. No one like starts out being fresh.
Definitely.
You gotta go through that phase of being a rookie and being an amateur, and stepping past that. So it's just part of the game. I mean, of course, a lot of people are gonna hate on, no matter like if you're doing something and you're doing it good enough or you're doing it enough, people are gonna call you a toy and throw all sorts of accusations and different shit at you. And you just got to roll with the punches. I mean, if talk is cheap, I tell people that talk is cheap, and then typing is even cheaper, because now with social media,
Yeah, yeah,
anyone,
yeah.
it's not like you got to go onto a website and make a username and get into a forum or whatever. So like type is super cheap, talk is cheap, and it's just a matter of just doing you got to, like I said, start off simple and get some skills before you really like go all out. But it's going to take 3 to 5 years for you to get good, so you're going to be a toy. I was definitely a toy. I say that I started writing in 96 and that I gained my can control in 96. Dude, when I did my interview with Museum of Graffiti and I got some flicks together, my shit was whack in 1996. I didn't even have can control yet. Like, I was getting a grip of it, but I
Yeah,
would say that I got better around like 97, 98 is when I started to get my can control. So, I had that 3 to 5 year window of just being whack and being a toy and being an amateur and doing terrible stuff. And everyone does it, everyone has it. And if you
I feel
don't,
like
then good. Yeah.
I feel like that's part of what builds you as a graffiti artist. You have to go through all the ups and downs, the not being good. So when you actually get to a point where you feel you're good, you look back and be like, I started from nothing,
Yeah.
and you can embrace what you became in the future more.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's a toy at one point, so there's no shame in it. You just got to practice and get better.
Keep going, stay strong.
Yeah,
If
paint
you
big
love
as
it,
well. Painting big for sure. Painting big is a big plus, because you have more space to work with. A lot of people, when they paint, they just paint like a piece that's like as high as they could reach and maybe like 10 feet wide or whatever. But the bigger you go, the easier it is to do. It takes more paint, it takes more time, but it's definitely easier to do stuff on a larger scale than it is on a smaller scale, I think.
definitely, definitely, it's much funner.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
a question I like to ask when I do the Krylon talk. Um, any favorite shoe that you like rocking when you're out there painting?
No, I don't have a favorite shoe. I mean, all my shoes end up getting paint on them. I can't like keep. I mean, I have a pair of shoes for like weddings and stuff. I won't go out there and like, you know, shoes like that. But
Yeah.
I don't have a specific shoe. No. I rock anything. You know, it's doesn't matter what kind of shoe, what brand of shoe. I'm looking at my shoes now, and I got Vans, Nike, Adidas, and um, that's pretty much it. You know, I guess one of those like three brands. Even New Balance is good. I have stuff in storage. I have shoes in storage, but um, I don't have a particular go-to shoe. You know, and I'm 39 years old. I'm not running, dude. You know, if I'm like in a spot and I get rolled on, the chances of me like taking off are, I mean, I might do it, but I'm not gonna make it far. I can't. I could barely make it for half a city block. You know, if it's a
Yeah.
long city block, I'm not making it through that city block without stopping and getting my breath and getting wrapped up. You know, so it like wearing a certain type of shoe. Shit, I even rock slides and chancletas when I go paint, dude. You know, a lot of people do that in other, like you go to other countries and everybody's wearing flip flops, dude. It's crazy, you know. And I've learned to like, oh, you know, I don't always have to rock like Chucks or Shell Toes or Forces or Air Maxes or Fila, whatever it is. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter to me. Like if I leave my crib and it's a Sunday and I'm feeling like I don't want to put on socks and shoes, I just go out there rocking the slides or whatever flip flops I'm rocking. You know? Yeah.
Is there anything that you could share about the Miami Graffiti with everybody typing in? Like anything that you could share and tell us, maybe a story or
Yeah,
something?
Miami has history. You know, Miami has a lot of history, and it wasn't really like publicized or published or broadcasted. You know, it was kind of like you came to Miami to go to South Beach and you know rent a hotel and party and go to the clubs and whatnot. But South Beach is one place. You know, now um with the Wynwood Arts District, you it's shined light on Miami's history, you know. So there was people here in the early 80s, maybe even the late 70s doing their thing. So there's a rich culture of of graffiti and hip hop and art here. um it's there's not that many people doing it, you know, not as much as New York or LA or the Bay Area or London or Paris or another like huge metropolitan city, but there is a great history here. There's some heavy hitters that have come out of Miami and gone on to be very famous artists that they started doing graffiti here and started as writers painting. um but I would definitely say if you haven't visited Miami, you should definitely come through and check out what we have to offer. You know, Wynwood is amazing. Like it's changing a lot. It's not the same as it was where it was all raw industrial and rugged, a lot of wall space. Now it's like a bunch of fancy boutiques and cafes and you know a lot of like glass storefronts and whatnot, so the areas that you can paint are limited, and now there's like a much heavier police presence in the arts district where before there was none, and now there's like a bunch of cameras and stuff. So you got to be careful when you come here, but going to Wynwood Walls, going to the Museum of Graffiti, and going to each corner of the arts district, that you know it's probably like 100 different blocks of just like of everything. You know, there's everything out here. It's street art, it's graffiti art, there's stencils, there's stickers, there's tags, there's sculpture, there's everything out here. It's I think it's considered one of the world's largest outdoor museums for street art and spray can art. So it's definitely worth coming out here and checking out. It's hectic during Basel. If you come for Art Basel in the first week of December, you're probably going to do a lot of partying and just it's cool. You never know who you're going to meet or who you're going to see, or you know, it really is a good time to visit Miami, but everyone's really like sticking it out at that time. So you may not make as much connections, or you make a lot of connections. You know, you may not paint as much, but it's dope. You know, I'm born and raised here and I love it. You know, I'm gonna be here till I die. I'll travel all around the world. I love going and checking out other cities and other scenes. It fuels me and motivates me, and really gets me charged up to come back and do things in my own city. But
It's nothing
yeah,
like home. It's nothing like
yeah,
home.
for sure. Miami's a crazy place. It really is, and I recommend visiting here if you haven't.
For everybody that's typing in, if you could share what MSG means to you and what it means to be part of MSG. As
For sure. I'm like, I want to say I'm second or third generation MSG. I didn't start the crew or even like put in like the first push or the second push of work for the crew that really defines what it's about. There was a lot of heavy hitter bombers in the crew, and the productions that the crew did were just insane. It wasn't just like letters and b-boy characters and stuff. Like, they stepped it up a notch and really themed out their walls and put thought and time and effort and money and the whole nine. They put in a lot of work.
yeah,
So it was definitely like an honor to get down with the crew. um, and it still is an honor to be part of it and be one of the heavy hitters of the crew now. Like every crew, there's drama within the crew. It's not the same as it was when I got in, and it's definitely not the same as it was when it first started. So it's different. Everybody like is doing their own thing and has their own thing going on. It's not like we're a bunch of teenagers or young adults that can just dedicate their whole life to their craft of art or vandalism or whatever. So it's dope. It's dope to be part of MSG. Like, it really shocks me how well known the crew is. It's definitely one of Miami's most famous crews, and I got a lot of respect for the people that were in the crew before myself, and the people that are part of it now, and people that will get down in the future. It's a great group of dudes, and we uh, we have a lot of variations of styles and techniques and backgrounds and ages as well. There's dudes in the crew that are, you know, in their 20s, and then there's dudes in the crew that are in their 50s. So it's a broad spectrum of people, but yeah, it's dope. It's a dope crew, and I'm glad to be part of it.
that's dope. It's like I feel when it comes to the crew, I just feel like it's like a big brotherhood. You know,
Yeah,
it's like you have your, I guess you could say, street family, street family that you've done all kinds of stuff with. As far as like us, skating, painting, a little bit of everything, and it's just fun and crazy to look back at the stories when when everybody gets together and chop it up and hey, you remember that? It's
for
just
sure.
crazy sometimes.
Yeah, we don't get together as much as we should. We should have like a monthly or at least like quarterly barbecue or something where we can all get together and just shoot the shit and kick back and plan out certain things or even reflect on the past. But yeah, it is always fun to get together and to hang out with the homies.
Another question that I wanted to ask: do you have someone that when you were coming up, you looked at like, damn, that's someone that possibly influenced you?
Yeah, there was a lot of people that influenced me. The people that came before me um influenced me a lot. There was definitely a lot of heads. I would say that Nine and G Wiz from HA Crew High Altitude, they schooled me up uh and like brought us up really good and handed down the skills and the knowledge that they had to us, as a crew. Like, there was a bunch of us coming up at the time, and they really um embraced us and schooled us properly. Now, there was a bunch of people, a bunch of crews and stuff that I was influenced by coming up and seeing them do their thing. So some of them I'm cool with now, some of them I'm not cool with now. um but yeah, like my personal like the OGs that handed their skills down to me were Nine and G Wiz. They really schooled us right, and taught me and taught our friends how to do what they were doing.
Dope, dope. Um, Last question I wanted to get to before I let you go. Have you ever came out here and painted in the harbor area? I'm from the harbor area. Have you ever came and painted out here?
Probably. I've been to Los Angeles a bunch of times, and it's such a fucking huge city. Like beyond the city of LA and the county of LA, you have all like the other surrounding sprawls and stuff. So to be honest, like I'm sure that I have been out there and painted out there, but like I'm burnt, dude. I don't know. Like I may end up in a place and not know where I'm at because we get out there like in the middle of the night or whatever, and I'm not quite sure. What are some of the cities in the harbor area?
Um, well, I'm from Dominguez, but we got Dominguez, we got Carson, we have Long Beach, Gardena, Torrance, San Pedro, Wilmington.
Yeah. Yeah, I've painted in a bunch of those cities for sure. I've definitely painted in the harbor area. Yeah, I have. I started
That's dope.
going. Yeah, I started going to Los Angeles in 2007. My friend from Miami moved out there. His name is Icon. He now lives in Maui, but he moved to LA, and um, I went out there. We were painting a lot before he moved out there. We were painting here in Miami a lot. So when he moved out there, I went chilled with him a bunch of times, and I made connects with Acme that was living in Miami. He's from SH and LOD, and he
Okay.
connected me with a lot of his friends over there. So I got like a good connection, a good network out there of dudes that had skills and respect, and um through that I just I met other people as well, like not through Acme and not through the connections that I had with Acme, but I've spent a bunch of time out there. Not maybe not like too much time, but I've definitely been to LA a dozen times and painted all over. Freights and freeways and yards and different places. Legal walls or whatever it might be, or just like partying and you know catching tags or putting up stickers or scribes or whatever it might be.
Nice.
I really do love the West Coast and the southern part of California. It's awesome out there. I wanted to move out there. I had
What did you have a certain area that you wanted to move to? Breaking up a little bit. Can you see me? Your screen's freezing up a little bit.
back up. Okay, yeah.
I think I can hear you now. Can you see me?
Let me try putting on my Wi-Fi. Hold on.
Test.
Can you see me now or no?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, yeah. My Wi-Fi just clicked on. I was running on my phone service. Not as far as like a certain neighborhood or a certain part of Southern California. No, there wasn't like any particular um city or town or neighborhood or part that I would go to. I mean, I don't know where, but I didn't end up like committing and staying out there and trying to like do it. I would just like would visit, you know. But yeah, I get inspired. I rep three crews from Los Angeles, Seeking Heaven and Kill to Succeed and Lokes on Dope. Those are three very like uh awesome crews. There's so many like talented individuals in those crews that inspire me. So I really like the scene out there and the vibe and the culture. It's completely different from Miami. So it's almost like the grass is greener on the other side. But then I get charged up thinking about all my travels and going to other cities, other countries, and going across the world. And that was like, I guess I have a soft spot in my heart for LA because that's where like I really started traveling and going to that was like far away from my like coast and my part of the world. From there, linking up with Cab, we've been all over the world, and it's amazing. It's amazing to travel. I recommend traveling the world. And I'm glad I did it before I got married and started a family, because it's very difficult when you have that commitment.
Yeah,
um but it's amazing, dude, to travel the world and go to all different cultures and backgrounds and scenes, and it's incredible. I highly recommend traveling.
that's dope. That's dope, man. It's good to get out there and see other people that do what you love to do
Correct.
and how they do it, and well, what how they get down different from how you get down, and you guys both learn from each other.
Yeah.
Definitely. Again, man, I just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. And everybody's tapping in. Make sure you get yourself one of these stickers right here. Yeah. Y'all need
Yeah.
one? Get on my guy Atomic right here. Get
Yeah,
yourself an orange.
hit the link in the
Exclusive.
bio for
Hit the
sure.
link in the bio. Much
For
love,
sure.
brother.
Thank
I
you. I
appreciate you
appreciate
tapping
you.
in
Have a
and give
good
me the
weekend, man.
opportunity. You
And if you
too.
get to Miami, hit me up, and I'll hit you up next time I get out west.
Sounds good, brother.
For
God
sure.
bless.
All right. Later.
Later.
Yo.
Hey, shout out to everybody that over here. Damn. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Till next time, tap in. Much love. I'm out. Peace.